Immediately after Robert Mueller was named special counsel to investigate Trump campaign Russian ties, Donald Trump kept his calm, but today was another matter. Here he is at a news conference this afternoon.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt, and there is no collusion between certainly myself and my campaign. I think we have a very divided country because of that and many other things.
A witch hunt. Trump told reporters earlier today he believes Mueller's appointment, quote, hurts our country terribly because it shows we're a divided, mixed up, not unified country. But if you ask most in Congress, they say it's a positive step.
I believe that the professionals at the Justice Department need to do their jobs independently, objectively, and thoroughly. And I believe the special counsel, which is Robert Mueller now, helps them do that.
I think the appointment of Bob Mueller was a great choice. He's somebody with impeccable integrity, great experience in the field as a former director of the FBI, and broad bipartisan support.
So is Mueller really the man for the job? Joining me with some personal insider, Dan Small. Dan's a partner at Holland & Knight who served alongside Mueller at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the 1880s. That was a long time ago. You look great.
The gray hairs.
Former U.S. Attorney Don Stern, who worked alongside Mueller both during his stint with the Justice Department and in private practice at Hale & Dorr. Don, it's good to see you. So based on your working relationship, what is it that you know about him that convinces you, and I assume it does, that he was the right choice there, Dan?
He's a great choice. He's a pro's pro. He's got intelligence, integrity, and determination, and those are all three qualities he's going to need in this job.
I assume you're going to echo that, yes?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's really the gold standard. You know, if I were to go in a dark room and try to come up with a short list of candidates who could fill this role at a very special time in our country, I think he'd be number one. I can't imagine anybody better.
Well, you know, and this is not a criticism of him. It's actually a compliment, but arguably something that compromises him. Most people didn't learn until a few days ago that bedside scene with former Attorney General Ashcroft when George Bush was trying to get the reauthorization of a secret national surveillance program. It was Comey alongside Mueller who basically stopped this thing. So when someone says down the line, or if they haven't said already, he's got a good and strong personal and professional relationship with the guy who was, quote, wronged by the president. Does that not put him in a tough position, Don?
I think it's an unusual circumstance. I think it's something that I think knowing Bob Mueller the way we do, he's got unquestioned integrity. So I think, for example, when it comes to questioning Comey to find out what the circumstances are, he's going to make sure that by his side are other experienced prosecutors and agents who could basically provide some support and assistance.
Not even appearance of potential impropriety?
No, I don't think so. And moreover, he's going to need the cooperation of the FBI. And so the fact that he has those kinds of relationships and that kind of personal background, I think is very helpful.
Yeah, I played the witch hunt sound from the president. He also tweeted it early this morning. The second half of that tweet was, with all the illegal acts that took place in the Clinton campaign and Obama administration, there was never a special counsel appointed. Does Trump have a point at all?
No, it's nonsense. And the idea that it's a witch hunt 10 hours after Mueller has been appointed, the whole idea is to get it away from a political witch hunt, make it a professional process, and find out what happened.
Well, it was also appointed by an assistant attorney general in his own Justice Department, exactly. I should say, Rosenstein.
Who he's, you know, was complimenting.
Last week.
Yeah. So what I worry about, Jim, is not only does he not respect American institution and the legal system, I'm not sure he really understands it. I'm not sure he really understands the process that led to the appointment of special counsel, that this was now baked in to the Department of Justice regulation, that there's a way to go about this to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, to ensure the public and to guarantee to the public that we have a fair, impartial, and aggressive investigation.
Yeah, could you explain what you think the latitude is here? In addition to saying, in the letter from Rosenstein, the Assistant Attorney General, to Mueller, it says in it, not only to investigate links between Russia and Trump campaign, but, quote, any matters that arose or may arise from the investigation. It seems to me that really gives him broad jurisdiction. Getting back to Comey, it seems to me that allows him to see if there was an attempt to obstruct justice in that one of those discussions he had in the Oval Office with the then head of the FBI. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. It's a very broad mandate, and it really has to be. The last thing Rosenstein wants is to get into a back and forth with Mueller down the road over, you have authority for this, you don't have authority for that. give it to him, let him go with it, and go from there.
But is that a good thing? Ken Starr was obviously investigating Clinton, was criticized for essentially, if I can't find a problem here, I'll go anywhere to find a problem. So is that, well, on some level at the beginning you say it's good, you want a guy who's an honorable guy to have wide jurisdiction. The flip side, it also allows for a fishing expedition, does it not?
I think that's ironically one of the strongest reasons why Bob Mueller is a great choice. Because first of all, he has the experience as an investigator and as a prosecutor. Ken Starr didn't. I think one of the criticisms, which I think was justified, is Ken Starr went into this thing, created this huge bloated bureaucracy, spent millions of dollars, and ended up lurching from here to there, going down a lot of dark alleys and ending up investigating Whitewater, but ultimately landing on Monica Lewinsky. Bob Mueller is an incredibly Bob Mueller is an incredibly focused prosecutor.
But, this whole discussion about latitude relates to Wall Street Journal is upset with this appointment from the other perspective. They say things like the editorial page, politically unaccountable, and they said something like under pressure to find a charge to justify their existence. Isn't that, it seems to me, again, one half of me says wide latitude is great, but that is basically the nature of the special counsel, independent prosecutor, whatever they are. I know that Starr was under that 3-judge thing. It doesn't exist anymore, expired in 1999. But there is pressure to deliver the goods. Is there not?
No, not really, not really. First of all, the latitude that Bob Mueller now has is no different than any U.S. attorney. And he's been the U.S. attorney, acting U.S. attorney in Boston for a brief period of time.
Yeah, but with all due respect to a former U.S. attorney, most of us don't even know who our U.S. attorney is. Everybody in America knows who the special counsel is investigating Trump.
But what I'm saying is that the latitude that he had is no different than any U.S. attorney. And the difference is he's not looking to feather his nest. He's sort of been there, done that. He's not looking for to make his name. The guy has done every top job really in America. So this is, if anything, kind of the capstone of a career, not something where he's looking to build a career.
And by the way, this could take years. The guy's 72 years old. The stuff I read this morning, I know nothing about prosecutions, investigations. They say this could not just be months. This could potentially be years and years of investigation, no?
It could take time. And look, there's no question that the risk, you've pinpointed a risk of the special counsel rule, which is you create a monster, you create a bureaucracy. But in Bob Mueller, you don't have a bureaucrat. He has always been a hands-on guy. He's always been involved. He understands the role. He understands the discretion. So I think there's no question there's a risk. The question is, can you get someone who understands that risk and can manage it? And I think you've got someone.
Okay, step back from Mueller for a second. Based on what you read in the Washington Post earlier this week and the New York Times, assuming that what they report is accurate, did Donald Trump obstruct justice?
I'm not prepared to say one way or the other. I think it's hard to know. It's hard to know about the context. It's complicated because and I don't mean to get too much into the weeds on the legal issue, but as the chief executive and as the president of the United States, he does have some overarching authority over criminal prosecutions and over the Department of Justice. So it's a complicated issue. I would say that it has the characteristics of a case that most prosecutors would look at as interfering with the administrative justice.
How about you?
I agree. I think it's hard to just take, hey, go easy on the guy. But if you then layer in the authority he had, the request for a loyalty oath, and ultimately the firing, you got to link those together. Then it's very troubling.
Sounds like you'd be happy to take that case if offered. No? Dan, it's great to see you. Thanks so much. Don, appreciate your time. Gentlemen, really appreciate it.